Hey, profs. Welcome on in. My name's Rob Lightfoot, proud two-time alum of Rick Edelman College of Communication, class of 2000-2001. This is Beyond the Brown and Gold.
I'm Jessica Kanady. I'm the co-host here, also a two-time proud Rowan alum, class of 2008 from the Rick Edelman College of Communication and Creative Arts, and 2015 from the College of Education. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM presents Beyond the Brown and Gold, a show that highlights the lives and memories of Glassboro State and Rowan University alumni. Now, here are your hosts, Rob Lightfoot and Jessica Kanady.
Welcome to Beyond the Brown and Gold. Today we're talking with 2015 alum, which wasn't so long ago, Chris Wilczewski, who has this amazing new business after years, by the way, of being on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, pretty impressive fella. Really just a unique story about how he got into the ninja world, what he did with his Rowan degree to make his passion and turn it into a career, and what he does when he's not ninjaing.
Yeah, which I mean, if I were a ninja, I'd be ninjaing all the time anyway.
Would you?
Yeah.
I don't think you would.
You're probably right, I wouldn't. But yeah, he's taken field day to an extreme level, and we had a great conversation with him. So here is 2015 alum, Chris Wilczewski.
First up was one of our most experienced athletes, Chris Wilczewski. Last year, he made it up the Mega Wall. Tonight, he had another strong run through the course and chose to go for the Mega Wall again.
Thank you so much for coming in today. You said it's been a little bit of time since you've been on campus, right?
Yeah, it's been a few years since I've walked around the campus, so it was nice being back and just like kind of having all these like memories and feelings coming back.
What was the biggest surprise you saw? Because campus has changed. Even in 2015, you graduated, so hasn't been that long. But in Rowan time, it's been.
Oh, there's so much development happening here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see like the campus kind of like alive and growing. There's like so many new buildings and everything looks really clean and polished, and it's just really nice being back in this environment and seeing how much has changed. It's awesome for the university.
And you're a College of Business alum.
I am a College of Business alumni. It's actually funny. I was asked the other day, when I graduated, and I couldn't answer. I was like, sometime in like between 2010 and 2020.
Wow.
Somewhere there. It's just, yeah. I'm not great with dates, and I sometimes joke with my wife that I just have too much information up there for like the business or other things that like there's just like certain pieces of information that I just forget. And that's when I graduated is one of them.
Well, one of the things that we ask a lot of folks on the show is their journey to Rowan, how they found out about it. So your connection with us. Tell us about sort of how you came to Rowan. Did you have family members that came here before? We have a lot of legacy families that come to Rowan.
Yeah, so I did. My mother actually got her master's here in education back when it was Glassboro State College. She really liked her experience here, and she kind of encouraged me to check it out because she liked it here, thought that it was a great school, great university, and great people here.
I think I read that you commuted here. So where did you grow up? Where were you? You were local?
Yeah, so I commuted here. I lived in Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Okay.
Probably like 40 minutes north of here, and the commute really wasn't too bad. It depends on the time of the day. There are certain times of the day where you hit quite a bit of traffic.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of finessing to try to get to class on time. I do remember that.
There's just a couple parking issues, right?
Yep, exactly.
Which is really, for a business guy, you covered up, that school covered up most of parking lot A, which back in the day for us old heads was pretty much the largest parking lot on campus.
That was the big commuter lot.
That was the big commuter lot for us.
So that's
commuters.
probably where you were parking is now a beautiful building. So were you a traditional student? Did you come like straight from high school?
No, so I bounced around a little bit. It was when I first graduated high school, I actually went to St. Joe's University for 2 years in the city, and then I just kind of like
Go
woke.
Hawks. My sister went there, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine university, but I just kind of like, woke up and was like, this is a great university, but it's not for me, and it's not really like fitting my needs at the time. I ended up taking some time and going to BCC at the time, figuring out more exactly like what my path was going to be. And then from there, I made the jump to Rowan, which really, really made sense for me. It was really a great decision because the support that I found here was just like incredible in terms of like growing my businesses and figuring out exactly what the next steps were for certain things. And I feel like I didn't really get that intimate level support at the other university that I was at. So
when you decided to come into the business world, Was that something that you had in mind initially? Like, was business the spot that you were going to land, or you just sort of found your way through that process?
I always felt like I was kind of connected with business. Like, I feel like I really like the numbers and the marketing and like the data analytics that go into like driving a successful business. But I feel like I was always a little bit concerned about like the cutthroat aspect of it, because it really is like dog eat dog in the business world, and it can be a really tough environment to be in and to push to be successful. And that doesn't necessarily fit my more laid back personality type. But I feel like, through my experiences, I learned that you can still, deliver a great product and just focus, primarily on doing the best that you can and offering the best that you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be as cutthroat, and it can be, a very fulfilling environment to be in. And, when I kind of made those connections, it just naturally clicked. All the things that I liked about it, delivering clear marketing messages and using data analytics to grow, like it just all kind of like came together. It was like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm just gonna keep doing it and enjoying the aspects that I like.
Were there any professors or mentors you had while you were here that like really stand out as helping you along that process?
Yeah, so there were really two that that really stood out, and all my professors were great and really helped me kind of learn. But there were two that really helped me understand what I needed to do as a business owner to kind of platform what I was doing. And at the time, I was really like new to the business world and kind of coming in with this ninja background, this obstacle background. It's like I was part of this like new and developing and growing sport that didn't really have like a framework per se for like, what does success look like in this industry? It was very challenging, but these two particular professors, they really helped me kind of draw the lines or make the connections between what exists already and like what different frameworks are set up to drive business success, and how you could take something that's new and budding and kind of fit it into those different frameworks and really deliver a great service with the company. So the primary professor that I'm thinking of is Renee Watson, and she always did a lot of stuff with like local businesses and figuring out different marketing channels for them and different ways to present their products and to get their message out there, which was a big thing for me early on because it was so new. And it was like, okay, like we have this really cool new sport that has a lot of nuances to it. How do we take that message and get it in front of the public? They're like, hey, this is something that you could do no different than soccer, basketball, football. And you can participate in this. And she really helped with like the marketing plan and strategy for getting that information out there. And then another professor that stands out, he's going to have to forgive me, I can't pronounce his name properly, but he was the entrepreneur professor. And he was so great at like taking like innovation and teaching people how to like be innovative, or maybe not necessarily be innovative, but to see how you can take a product or a service and really differentiate it and make it appropriate for whatever your target market is. And the class was really cool because it was all about trying to explore, kind of like these niche areas where it's just like, oh, like, what creates like a good product that doesn't exist already? Like, how do you, take that creativity and innovation and like turn it into something that's marketable, that's sellable? For me, it really connected because I'm in this new industry that's budding and trying to become something, and there's some past history that we could pull from because I competed on the obstacle TV show American Ninja Warrior. And
no, you didn't. We knew that.
A couple times.
It's kind of a big deal.
Oh, I was going to say you too.
I was on at season 1, but I was too good. So
yeah, they didn't want to show you to make everybody else look. Yeah, exactly. But no, like I there was some structure there, but that structure doesn't necessarily fit a mainstream population. The average person can't go out and do the things that people are doing on this competitive show. So with the entrepreneurship class, it's all about innovation. It's like, okay, well, how do you take this thing that exists and turn it into something that could fit a wider base? And I think that was really instrumental in, what I was looking at from like a league perspective, because I run like an obstacle course league now, and kind of taking that mindset and being like, okay, well, how do I take this sport that I really enjoy at the highest level of competition and adapt it so that it's new and innovative and works for a more wide-stream base? It's like, how do you get kids involved, and how do you get your average person involved in this? And I think that flexibility and creativity and his guidance really helped me to kind of see that and to create something that was able to grow and flourish.
I was a fluffier kid. I still like a nice piece of pizza and a donut, right?
But, don't we all?
He doesn't eat anything green.
I know.
So.
I don't eat anything green and healthy. I'd probably be a model in a magazine if I actually ate better. Not really. But you come up with this idea for this ninja competition. Were you a natural athlete in high school or growing up? Or did like the business plan come first, then the idea? Or did you already have like this athletic sort of idea that you wanted to create something around that?
I definitely played a lot of sports growing up. My success in athletics varied widely. When I was younger, I was a solid basketball player because I was close to 6 foot in like 5th grade. So I was taller than everybody. And then I stopped growing. So then
I stopped growing too, but at 4'11". So some of us get height. Some of us don't.
Yeah, no, it's how it goes. And unfortunately, my basketball career was stunted with my height growth. I didn't necessarily find success in traditional athletics, but the obstacle stuff really resonated with me. And when I first went out to compete, it was such a new thing. There wasn't really like discipline to practice when it comes to this. It was more pulling from other disciplines, whether it's gymnastics, rock climbing, slacklining, parkour, and kind of taking this like smorgasbord of athletics and piecing it together into this really challenging obstacle course. All those little kind of like nuance or alternative fitness regiments were things that like appealed to me. So like I was a rock climber. I did practice parkour for a while. I was familiar with a lot of gymnastics training. It was really a natural fit for me to go into that, and I was lucky enough to find success in my first national competition with American Ninja Warrior. I placed in the top athletes and was like, oh, this is really cool. Where else does this go? And I quickly found out that like there wasn't like a strong framework under it because it was so new, and it's the primary driver was this TV show. When I figured that out, I really saw like an opening because I was like, well, I want to do more of this, and I think that this should be more accessible to people because it's an awesome experience. How do we get more of this? And I guess part of it might have been selfishly driven because I wanted to experience more of it. But then at the same time, I also wanted to get more people involved because I thought that it was just like so cool that more people should try to experience this. And yeah, that's really where the idea for the businesses came about, is like just enjoying the competitive aspect myself and figuring out how do we get more people involved in that.
You got to be wired a little differently, right? Because Jess and I watch it on television, and I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, but I have no interest in doing anything.
I mean, maybe, sure, if I was like not on national TV competing, but I would maybe like to try it just for fun. I have a 1-year-old who's like super energetic and active and like nutty, and I'm like, I could see him doing that someday because he's constantly like jumping off of things and throwing himself everywhere, and I'm like, this seems like maybe that would be a good fit for you. So was that the kind of kid you were, like when you got into it? Was your family like, oh, that makes sense? Chris always was kind of like adventurous and energetic.
Definitely. I definitely spent a lot of time like running, jumping, playing, enjoyed, spending hours on the playground as a kid. So it really was kind of like a natural transition for me. And I don't think anybody was surprised when they're like, oh, Chris is doing that obstacle TV show. It's like, oh yeah, of course he is. So
how does one do that obstacle TV show? How do you go from, because you were doing it at the same time you were at Rowan, right? Were you doing it simultaneously?
Yeah, I was. And there was a few times where I had to reach out to my professors and be like, so I'm going to miss class on Thursday because I'm filming this TV show. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I was really grateful that, they were always accommodating, figured out ways to, make sure that I didn't miss any work and that I stayed caught up. And, getting involved, early on. I guess even today is really all about the casting process. So at the end of the day, like they are producing a television series, and they want people on the television series that fit a certain profile that they can market to people. Because at the end of the day, they are a business and they're trying to drive success in terms of marketing dollars. So what they would do is they would have us create these videos that kind of like, showcase who you were, your personality, and how do you come across on camera? Are you able to, form a sentence without stuttering, or just creating like, gaps or weird comments or whatever. And
I've already failed the screening process, by the way.
It feels like an audition for the real world.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's very similar, and like the application process is similar, and sometimes done by a similar casting company. And of course, like they want to see your athletic skill in there too to make sure that you're successful. And I personally feel like I was really lucky because early on, the casting process was a little less intense. It was a little bit easier to get by because the show wasn't as big. It was smaller. It was on, a lesser known network, G4, and I was able to kind of get in on the ground floor. Whereas today, because it's blown up so much, there's so many people that are applying. There's so many different athletes out there that really kind of fit their mold. I don't even know if I would get selected today. And I got lucky because I got in and they were able to profile me as one of their athletes, kind of going up through it. So I kind of became a household name, so it made it easier for me to come back, even if I didn't necessarily have the same charisma as some of the athletes that were applying, just because they've kind of already built my character on the show. So I feel like I got lucky in a number of ways because I was, involved so early on.
Talk to us about like where your mind is.
Yeah.
When you're right at that starting point.
Because there's like physical prep, right? But I imagine there's mental prep.
Yeah. I mean, like when you're going through the obstacle course itself, it's just got to be a mental like gymnasium itself.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And the primary format for American Ninja Warrior is, if you fall on one of these obstacles, like you're done, like that's it, go home. And it's like so bizarre because like I would compare it to like, I don't know, playing a basketball game. And if you go down the court and you miss a 3-pointer, it's like, okay, cool, that's it, your season's over, see you later. It's like it's crazy in terms of like the perfection that you need to really go through and hit all these obstacles. And some people would compare it to like gymnastics, where it's like you have your routine and like you need to hit your routine perfectly in order to like, get the highest score and make sure that you nail all your flips and all those different things that go into it. But it's so different because you need this adaptability because you have no idea what you're going to do in terms of the obstacles. Like most people don't realize that we have no idea until we show up on set, what exactly they're going to have us do.
Oh, wow.
So you have to prep for like a whole range of things. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I thought that you like went in knowing like, okay, this is going to be the course and this is what I'm going to be prepping for.
So you have no idea until you get there. And then it's like, okay, well now's, your time to like look through it, and you don't get to practice it. You don't get to touch anything. You're just looking at it and then trying to figure out the mechanics in your head. So there's a lot of mental pressure that kind of goes into, one, your prep work going into it, because you need to make sure that you cover everything because you don't want to, get to an exam and be like, oh, I didn't study that question. Or, you don't want to get to the course and be like, well, I've never done that. How am I going to do that? So you have to really cover this really wide scope. And then when you get there, just thinking through like, okay, well, how do I execute this perfectly on, national television? And if I don't, then that's it. I get to go home and, think about how I didn't do very well. And, it's very challenging from a competitor aspect because every year you fail at some point. You miss an obstacle at some point, and you kind of like prep yourself for that, but like kind of like mentally prepare yourself for like, okay, like I'm going to fail at some point. So, do the best you can. But it still hits hard when you don't perform to like your expectation. And I think that a lot of the sport kind of early on was like learning how to deal with that failure and trying to set realistic goals or expectations for yourself so that you can be happy with your success regardless of when you ended up falling in the water.
I've watched some of the videos of you, and it looks like every time you get to a new obstacle, it looks like you like brace yourself almost a little bit, like you like center yourself and you're like, okay, I'm going. Because like, I don't know, I don't have a lot of familiarity with the sport, so watching was really fun for me. But it looks like you're like taking your time to like think like, okay, I need a minute. I'm not a minute. You don't have minutes, but like when you're taking some time to center yourself to like really go, because you're kind of got to like really focus on what the next is the goal. Like let's get through this next obstacle. Or are you thinking like I have to get through the whole thing, or is it like one at a time kind of?
No, you're 100% right. So no matter how much training and preparation you do, it can't really like fully put you in that same experience where your heart rate's elevated, you have all the TV cameras on you, the audience is watching you, and you need to be perfect. And you just can't prepare yourself for that. So what happens a lot of times when athletes get out there is their heart rate spikes. They, start kind of like moving more sporadically, and they're not really controlled.
My heart rate's spiking now. Talking about it.
Getting really stressed out.
Well, yeah, it's like that, and it's like you're out there and trying to do these really controlled, delicate movements, and if your body's not reacting right because you're over energized, then you're gonna have a problem. So you're right. In between every obstacle, I would try to kind of like gather myself and bring myself back down, because I know that every time I step off of a previous obstacle, like my heart rate's like boom, because like I just like, okay, I got that one, and like I early on I was like
Must
very
be exciting.
eager.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but also like you have to kind of control it a little bit to make sure that you don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Do you do any kind of like chill activities? Like, do you meditate, yoga? Like, is there like a softer side of the athletic side that like kind of centers you in those times? Or
Yeah.
what do you do to manage all that?
Yeah.
Imagine there's like anxiety and stress involved in the whole thing. What do you do to manage that?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of anxiety and stress that goes into it, because you do have this expectation of being perfect. And I would say that earlier on in my ninja career, I did not manage it as well, because I was just like go, wanted to like, attack the obstacles, and was like overly excited, and just like all of it was just kind of like this really balled up energy for the sport. And I think as I got older, I learned to kind of mellow that out and try to relax more, and focused a lot of my later years, like my effort on like the prep, because at the end of the day, it's like I kind of recognize that like I'm not going to be perfect, and it's there's going to be seasons where I don't get to leave everything out on the course. Like with a basketball game or a football game, it's like every game you can leave everything out on the field. It's like you can give it 100% because you just get to keep going after like, okay, you have a bad play, then you can come back harder the next play. With Ninja, it's like if you have a bad obstacle, like you usually end up in the water, and like that's it. So like it doesn't have the same concept of like being able to like leave it all on the course. So I kind of like recognized that I needed to do that earlier. So I did a lot of training and preparation and saying like, okay, like this is my way of leaving it all out there. It's like I'm going to do everything that I can to prep, and then whatever the results are, they're what they are.
Tell us how you turned your ninja experience into a business and a career for yourself.
Yeah. So it really started here at Rowan, because at the time that I was coming to Rowan, I was creating a gym where we housed obstacles that you would see on the TV show, and figuring out ways to kind of take what they were doing there and turn it into more of like a business model. And really like the preliminary stages of it were kind of like setting up the framework for the entire industry, because at the time there was no gyms like this, there was no facilities like this. Like if you wanted to get like that level of obstacle experience, you either did the TV show or that was it.
Okay.
What I did was I tried to take some of that experience and kind of bring it to like the local level. And I would say early on in the building process, it was really kind of focused on this grassroots community that was kind of already involved in the sport. So it's like you have guys and girls that are competing on this TV show from all over the country and trying to find ways to like improve and get better, and they would kind of seek out different high level obstacles. So like a lot of the initial business model was kind of centered around that, and providing like the training and the resources for those athletes. So what I would kind of compare it to is like if it was a weightlifting gym back in the day, but it was like only catered to the power lifters or to like the strongmen that were doing all these like really heavy lifts and only doing the 100-pound dumbbells and all this crazy stuff. But then I feel like it was through my experience at Rowan and learning to innovate and learning how to essentially take that and introduce it to a more wider audience base. The business model started to adapt and be more about like, okay, well, like this is a really cool experience, but not everybody can do the crazy stuff that you're seeing on the show. So it's like, well, how do you take, the 100-pound dumbbells and turn it into a 10-pound dumbbell or a 5-pound or something that like anybody can start at and build up to? And that's really where the business model for the gyms evolved, and that's really where the league stuff came in, and trying to figure out how do you take this and make it accessible to a lot more people.
Is there another project that you're working on related to this, or a personal challenge that you're looking to tackle?
Related to Ninja?
Ninja or just outside of the Ninja world?
Oh.
Yeah, what's Chris like outside of Ninja World?
No, that's...
Like, what do you do on a regular day? Like on Sunday?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you Ninja on Sunday.
Like I like the couch on Sundays. I don't know if you do this thing called like sleeping.
I do enjoy sleeping, and I do enjoy the couch. I would say my time is really divided between work and family. So it's I have a daughter at home who's 2 years old. My wife is pregnant. Really, when I'm not working or focusing on work, it's spending time with my family, hanging out, beach trips, vacations.
Most
going to
important
swim
question:
lessons.
what beach?
I was going to ask that now.
So I go to Brigantine Beach.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
That's one not many people
Yeah,
say.
no,
It's a little non-traditional, yeah.
Yeah, we asked our whole alumni board, like, which beach do you go to? And almost so many different answers. So I'm always intrigued by where people go to the beach.
We really like Brigantine. We feel like it's a little bit lesser known. There's not as big of crowds, and there's a lot of sand, a lot of space to spread out. And we personally really like it. We think it's a great beach, but hopefully not too many people adapt it.
After
Yeah,
this,
don't tell anybody.
Keep it.
It's going to have a rise
Keep
in
it secret.
popularity.
Yeah. Like, well, wait a minute. What's that
You're
beach?
going to have to start going somewhere else.
Yeah, could we actually cut that out?
Yeah, exactly. Now, your 2-year-old, do you like show her the ninja stuff? Do you like, what does that look like for somebody so nuggety? I always call little ones nuggets. So are you hopeful that she'll get an interest, or are you hopeful that maybe she doesn't?
So I feel like my role as a father is to really foster and grow whatever she's most interested in. And I don't want to be the type of parent that pushes them into one thing or the other. So I have not pushed any ninja stuff. And I've really tried to just kind of like give her a wide range of things that she could be interested in. And just trying to like watch her and see how she reacts and figure out like, okay, like what is she most interested in? And for her, it seems like swimming. She's an incredible swimmer at 2 years old and is in like the advanced class for her age, and like just absolutely loves the water. So it's really been pushing that. But in terms of ninja, she's been to a few events, and like she likes to like jump on the mats, and she'll like watch the competitions and be like, ooh, ninja fall, splash, kaboom. But like,
I love it. She's got little sound effects.
Yeah, she has her own commentary. Maybe she'll end up on the radio someday.
Yeah, perfect. Bring her here.
Yeah. But no, it's really just been about like trying to grow and cultivate whatever she's most interested in. So it
Has she
hasn't
seen you on
necessarily-
TV? Does she get that?
No,
Okay.
she hasn't. It's one of those things that I probably, won't ever like force her to like sit down and like watch, because it's just, I don't know, like that's just not necessarily my style. But if one day she asks about it, like, yeah, sure, I'll show her. But no, I'm not gonna try to push it on her.
I feel like we're friends now, so like I feel like, is there a special like ninja sign you guys give each other so that we can like
We can pretend we're ninjas
pretend like
too.
we're ninjas somewhere? Are you? Is that like
We're not that cool yet.
okay? All right. Yeah,
Well,
we'll work.
you develop that. I mean, you're working on a lot of cool things. You just add like a secret handshake in there too.
Exactly.
We'll get there. Well, how can people find if somebody wants to get involved with the ninja community and you specifically?
I'm part of the World Ninja League, and our website's worldninjaleague.org. And on the site you can find competitions, you can find a list of facilities that have training for ninjas specifically. There's resources on how to get started, and really a good starting point for like assessing is like is ninja something that you want to do.
We're so happy to have you here. We're glad that you're back on campus.
Me too. It's been really awesome being back on campus.
We're going to get you here more.
Yeah.
We're going to also set maybe up a ninja obstacle course on Bunce Green. How fun of an alumni event would that be, right?
Absolutely.
We'd have to get legal involved, sign a lot of waivers.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's, well, better than anybody, but I'm sure there's a ton of waivers you'd have to get signed.
Yeah, but that would be really cool. So maybe we can.
Because we did yoga 1 year.
Yeah, a
on
little
Bunce.
less chance of maybe injuring yourself.
Yeah, but you could still pop a hammy or something. You know what I mean?
For sure. But definitely, I envision, I can see it now, like a really cool
Right after
opportunity.
graduation, because the grass is pretty much all torn up from everybody being on there. You could just
There you go.
line up all of your little your stuff.
Your little stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. How to
Your
put it.
couches,
Your
as you referred to them earlier.
I'll be watching from a bench. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much. Oh, what a real pleasure to talk to Chris today. Definitely one of the most humble people I think I've talked to,
Yeah.
especially with all that he's accomplished.
Real chill cat.
Yeah, like I kind of expected him to come in like parkour bouncing off the walls, and he was
Yeah.
just such a calming
Well, that's
presence.
because I did.
Yes,
So
exactly.
you assume the same thing.
For sure. He came in the studio really calm, really relaxed, had a great interview with him. And I think that the thing that really stood out to me was how humble he is about, his time here at Rowan and what it's led to, and how he's just kind of like a normal guy.
But imagine the mindset, like we talked about it during the show, but imagine the mindset that you have to have like when you're in that moment of an American Ninja Warrior.
No.
Like it's crazy.
No, I know. I that was something cool I think that we touched on too, was about really what it takes to jump into that mentally, because obviously there's a lot of physical prep, but that mental prep I think is important too. And I think that's like really common in all kinds of things. Just thinking through the mental thing, the toll it might take. So
I stress out when I'm at self-checkout and I don't know the UPC code or something
You
like
know
that for
what
a piece of fruit.
That's so
And
funny
this guy,
that you say that.
You know what I mean?
I stress out not at self-checkout, but when the person is checking out my groceries
Yeah.
and they're doing it too fast, faster than I can bag. And I'm like, slow down.
And this guy, he's jumping all over the place.
I know. He was really, really fun to talk to today. So we hope that you enjoyed it just as much as we did, and that you get a chance to follow along with Chris's journey, because it seems like although he's already accomplished a lot, that there's a lot ahead for him as far as laying the groundwork for what this looks like.
Yeah, definite growth ahead. So thanks, Chris. And we look forward to catching up with you on another edition of Beyond the Brown and Gold.
You've been listening to Beyond the Brown and Gold on Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM. You can find more episodes on your favorite podcasting platforms by searching for Beyond the Brown and Gold or Rowan Radio On Demand.